Guys, let's say at age 35, say 40, 45, and you take a look at your life, and on paper, everything's solid, right? But something feels off, and it's not quite wrong. It's just flat. It's boring. A lot of guys feel, well, nothing. And on paper, like I said, you did everything right. You've sort of built your career. You make decent money, and you've got your routine sort of dialed in. And from the outside, for perceptually, people looking at your life, you're the guy that people point to and they go, yeah, he's doing pretty well. But internally, guys, and inside your head, there's this voice that just says, this isn't it. This can't be it. And it's not a loud voice, and it's not really dramatic, guys, but it's just there, always there. And this is exactly what I want to talk about today, guys, because a lot of guys hit this point and they don't know what the hell it is, that voice in their head. Hey, guys, I want to jump back and take a second. So for all those guys, you know who you are, the trolls that were giving me shade about my video, this one here, about not looking my age. So I shaved, guys. Give it to me straight. What do I look like now? And for guys who don't know my age, drop it in the comments below. Let me know, guys. But anyways, getting back to the topic of today's video. So, guys, we're going to talk about you didn't choose this. So here's a truth that a lot of guys don't really stop and put any thought into, or they don't question. You didn't actually design your life. And again, think about that, guys. You followed a script, not consciously, but you sort of absorbed it. And in many cases, guys, it was an indoctrination. And that started from, the moment you were born. You were told to go to school, get the stable, safe job. And I put quotes over that safe job, to climb the corporate ladder, marriage, kids, the house. And by certainly don't take too many risks. Be responsible. Even worse, guys, you were told to be sort of predictable, or you just fell into that. And again, on its surface, guys, none of this is bad, but it's sort of a borrowed identity. It's not one that you chose. It was, as I said, a blueprint that was ingrained or indoctrinated in you. And that came from your parents, from maybe the church, society, culture, and you just ran with it. You never really stopped to think about it. No audit, no pause, no thought. Many of you guys, you literally just followed the script or are still following the script that was handed to you. And you just didn't think about it, guys. And now, here we are, 20, 25, 30 years later, depending on your age. You wake up one day or you sort of have these thoughts, as I said, that are just pounding around your head. You're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I chose. Again, it was just handed to you, guys. So let me give you some examples of what this really looks like in real life. So not, sort of theory or conjecture. And guys, trust me, I live this. I am no exception to this. And I've seen it. So let's look at example number one here. And I would fall into this, guys, the career guys. You're making, decent money. You're not crushing it, but you're doing all right. The bills are paid. You can take 2 vacations a year, etc. You've maybe reached director level, VP, whatever LinkedIn, letters that you can put on your resume. But nonetheless, guys, every Sunday, and we all know what this feels like when you're working at 9 to 5, you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Yes, guys, I've used the phrase before, the Sunday scaries. Somewhere around, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock on a Sunday, there's just that existential sort of dread that Monday is coming. And again, it's not because you're failing, but it's because you know that you're going to go do a job that you really don't give a shit about, and you're not building it for you. You're building it for somebody else, and you have been your entire career. You're just sort of maintaining. You are literally going through the motions. And guys, I'm not talking about just at your job either. This could be in your sort of off time with your wife, your girlfriend. You're sort of a zombie and you just go through the motions and you don't really even think about it until you do. All right, guys, let's get to the second guy here, let's call him the stable life guys. And it could be the same. Some of these guys are going to mesh together. They're going to blend of some. But anyways, the stable guy, he's got the nice house. Let's call it the nice house in the nice neighborhood. He's got 2.5 kids, and I don't know what half a kid is. But guys, you know what I mean. The proverbial or the literal white picket fence, maybe even a minivan. And guys, if you've got a minivan, I'm kidding, guys, but seriously, if you have a minivan, you might want to take a look at that. But everything looks dialed in, guys. And your days are identical. It's literally Groundhog Day over and over. If you haven't seen the movie, guys, it's the same thing over and over and over. You wake up, you work, you scroll, you sleep, you repeat. Guys, not just for years, but for decades for many guys, and never question this. Any edge you had is gone. You know, you may have let your body go. Just, you've let it go. You have no edge. You have no sort of, no fire. You're not expanding. You're not growing. It's just this sort of controlled comfort. And this comfort is slowly drip killing your drive, your edge, as I said, and you know it. All right, guys, let's move to guy number 3, example number 3, the quote unquote, I should be happy guys. And this one is where it gets dangerous. Because on paper, as I said, this guy shouldn't really have anything to complain about. And he's right. But you also feel, as I said in the beginning, you feel nothing. You are fucking numb. You know, your life, it's not bad and it's not good. And this is a scary position to be in. Why does this mess with you guys? Well, here's where a lot of guys are going to get stuck. You've built too much, or you have too many responsibilities to sort of just blow it up. As the saying goes, burn the bridge or burn the boats. You can't do that. Especially when you have, a mortgage, a home, kids, wife, maybe credit card debt, school loan debt, etc. You said you've got responsibility. You sort of got this reputation, maybe that you build at work, and people are depending on you. Again, wives, children, maybe you're taking care of some parents. So what do? Well, most guys don't change. They do something worse. What they do is cope and just say, this is how it has to be. And you distract. We've talked about vices, guys, before, whether that be alcohol, television, social media, scrolling, of course, porn, drugs, whatever. And then maybe you upgrade some things to make yourself feel good for a short time. Maybe you buy the new car, the vacation, maybe a new outfit. But none of these things are going to change you inside. That voice, it's still there. And you keep telling yourself, oh, I should be grateful. And then you normalize and rationalize these feelings. Again, you're not by yourself, guys. This is a very common thing, especially among middle-aged men. But this is where it starts to sort of get real. You become sort of this high-functioning version of a person who literally is checked the fuck out. You're just, again, guys, going through the motions. You're there, but you're not all the way there. As I said, wash, rinse, repeat. Go through the motions, but you're not really living. And you're certainly not doing what you want to do. And again, most of the decisions that are driving you right now, they're not yours. They're your boss's. They're your wife's. They're your children's. You are basing your life on other people's decisions. Or, what I said in the beginning, what you were told to do, or was the right thing to do, just what a man does. And again, here are some of the other, sort of anecdotes that go with it. Well, this is what a successful man looks like. This is what you should prioritize above any of your wants and or desires. This is what stability means. That safety, guys, as I've talked about. But who the fuck defined that? Seriously, who defined that? Well, who decided that your life should look like, again, your life is like a slightly upgraded version of everybody else. Let's put it that way. You're a little bit ahead of the average and mediocre, which, as I've talked about in many videos, is not a really hard place to be. So again, you rationalize it. You just have this slightly upgraded version, but it's not what you know you can achieve. It's far below your potential. It's far below what you desire, but you just sort of go with it. And that's the script, guys. And most men never question this. They go along to get along, they don't want to rock the boat, and they just keep going. Never fulfilled, just sort of coasting. And they just, they sort of refine it. Maybe they get a little bit of a better job, a promotion at work, the better house, better distractions. Again, the cars, the boats, whatever. But it's the same bullshit script, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. The promotion, most people get the bigger house, they go further in debt. These things are never going to fill you. So here's the shift, guys. We need to stop asking what I should do. And here's where things need to change. It's very simple. But what's hard about it is it's uncomfortable as all hell. And that's why most men will avoid this. You need to stop asking, what should I be doing? And instead, start asking, what do I actually fucking want? And I need you guys to seriously ask yourself, take a day and just be by yourself. Go in your office, whether it's home office, regular office, go on a drive out to the country. I don't care. Yes, but you need to ask yourself this. What do I actually fucking want? And this is the question I had to ask myself. As I went to that office day over day and did this bullshit, and I made good money. I had a good position. But I didn't fucking want to do that. And I knew it. And I could sit there and coast and go through the motions. But I would never be happy. And I'm not talking about what sounds good. I'm talking about what you want to do. Not what looks impressive for other people on social media or what you think you should be for other people. No. What is actually true and real for you? Most of you are probably going to ignore me and ignore this question. Because the answer requires change. If you want to do what you actually want, that's going to require change. And change is almost always uncomfortable. Growth is hard, guys. Change is hard. Trust me, I went through this in the past year, but I wrangled with it for well over a fucking decade. You got to ask yourself this, guys. So let's get to a point of practicality here because, I don't want to talk in philosophy and what ifs and shoulds. I don't live in that realm. Here's how you start breaking out of this sort of funk. Not a midlife crisis, guys. And if you haven't watched that video, watch this one here. It's not a crisis. Anyways, getting back to this, audit our lives. And we want to be fucking brutal about this, guys. Sit down and look at your life from the view or the perspective as an outsider. And we're going to ask this, guys. What am I doing because I actually want to? What am I doing because I feel like I'm supposed to? So two different things, guys. And like I said, grab a notepad. Write this shit down. Really put some thought in it. Take some time. Be honest, guys. Again, I know most of you probably won't do this. But the guys who are going to level up, the guys that do want to reach that next step and sort of break free, especially here in midlife, they're going to take a few minutes and do this. Guys, in the last video, or maybe it was the video prior to that, I talked about removing things from your life to get better via negativa. All right, I'm going to say this again. We're not adding more. Remove something from your life, guys, that is clearly misaligned with who you are, or more importantly, who you want to be. For example, let's take a commitment. And I say maybe, that's some bullshit committee you're on, the PTA organization, or that, you're the fucking vice president of the homeowners association. You're in a fantasy league. Guys, if you're 35, 40, 45, you might want to dump that. Just saying. Other routines, guys, drinks after work that you just do sort of habitually. You don't even put any thought into it. And you go have beers. It could be, 2 nights, 3 nights, how many nights a week? Netflix binges, guys. Scrolling on social media. And as I said, for many of you, yes, the prawn. Got to get rid of that, guys. Pick one. A social obligation. Again, maybe that's drinks, guys out. Maybe it's a paddle league or padel or whatever it is. But there's something that your heart's not really in. You really don't want to do, but you do it because maybe your wife, wants you to do it, or that, that's what you think you should do. If it doesn't align with you guys, get rid of it. And then every time you spent time on meaningless work. Guys, I'm talking about in the office. We talked about this in the last video. We said, I don't call it doesn't have to be quiet quitting, guys. But, do what is required of you at work and use that extra time. And trust me, I know, having done it for 25 years, most white-collar jobs have plenty of extra time. You don't have to bullshit me, guys. Take an hour. It's an hour a day. That's 5 hours a week. But I know there's more. And work on something else. But certainly don't do meaningless work to make yourself look busy. And again, guys, I'm talking about one thing I need you to do, and you see the difference immediately. Guys, this is critical, and I've talked about this over and over, all right? So I need you to reintroduce some friction, sort of that edge. Most guys will lose this because your life is far too comfortable. It's on easy mode. So you need to bring this back. Okay, how do we do this? Train harder. Is don't just go to the gym and walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Lift heavier weights. Find a new trainer. Maybe go online and get a trainer. It's what I did to change my routine. Find a new lifting routine. Find something that challenges you. Do something that's either physically or mentally or possibly both uncomfortable. Fight training. Guys, even if you're my age, you got to guess. But at my age, I went in a boxing ring last year, whether it be Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whatever it is. Or mentally, like if you don't like to write, practice doing a journal, practice reading, meditation. Just something, guys, that makes you slightly uncomfortable and gets you out of that mental rut, mental routine. Put yourself in environments where you're not the top dog, guys. It is easy, especially when you have your own sort of, small bubble, and if you are the sort of lead dog, to stay there because it's comfortable. But put yourself somewhere where you're not the smartest, you're not the toughest, you're not the most athletically capable, whatever it is. And then be around that. Challenge yourself. Competition, guys. Whatever it is. Find something you're not good at and go do that. I'm not talking about chaos, guys, or ripping your life apart. I'm just talking reintroducing some friction. Start creating, guys. We live in a massively consumerist society. All we do is consume, whether that be actual goods or social media, consume television, consume. We need to start creating, guys. We are built to create, especially as men. We don't want to maintain. We need you to build something. Again, guys, I'm not talking, you don't need to build the pyramids of Egypt. This could be creating content. Start a YouTube station, write a book, build something in your garage, build a fucking fort for your kid, build something with your hands. It can be both sort of, like writing or actually building, but create something. Start a side project, guys, whatever that may be, whether it's a side hustle to make you some money, whatever. Find a passion and pursue that. Something you want to do. We talked about it earlier in the video. Something you want to do. And then develop a new skill. Guys, what is something you want to do? Maybe even when you were a kid, but you gave that up because you were told it was impractical. No. Find that skill and learn it. It's not too late, guys. It's not too late. Creation reconnects you to your agency, guys. Your life needs to have a purpose or a mission. I've said this before. I'm not talking about some crazy higher calling, but you have to be something you are striving towards, something that gives you, again, purpose. It just makes you feel complete. And the people in your life are going to complement that. We don't want them to be a sole focus. If your sole focus is only your wife or girlfriend or your job, that defines you, then you're sort of lost as a man, guys. We can't have those things be the sole focus. We want those things to be complements to who we are as a man. All right, guys. And then lastly, Make one decision for you. Just fucking you. All right. And again, this isn't about being for optics or narcissism or putting people aside. And it's not for their approval, but just for you. And even something small. That's how we start sort of rewriting this script. If you just want to go golfing by yourself on a Wednesday and take a half day, do that. Just you. You know, you want to go to the library and read, or I don't know what it is. Go fishing. Just do that, guys. You need to start taking back your life, okay? And it starts small. Can't do this all at once. Guys, if you stuck with me to this point, as always, I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate all the guys, the likes, the comments, even the bad ones, guys. I read them all. Get those comments in there. If you find this material valuable, subscribe. Pass this on to somebody this can help. Guys, as I've said, I come at you hard oftentimes. It's because I give a shit and I want to help guys change. I've been there and I struggled through this by myself, but I also, I help going online and finding like-minded men. That's what I'm trying to do here, guys. So appreciate you guys. YouTube is telling me that we need to watch this video next here. Again, guys, do me a favor. Click that subscribe, and remember, as always, live deliberately.